Today we're going to cover the 2-color alternating invisible cast on. This is the perfect cast on for the Cable Mania cowl because it works beautifully for both double knitting and double knitted brioche. And it's really lovely and stretchy, and it makes such a beautiful edge that it really is perfect, and it will match perfectly with our single needle Kitchener stitch cast bind off. Let's say that 10 times fast on the other end. So they'll barely look different from one another. All right, so to start with, I'd like to mention I am doing this on super large needles. They're US 10 or 6 millimeter, and that would not be the preferred. You generally want to use needles that are smaller than your project because this cast on has a tendency to be quite loose, and so smaller is better, at least a couple of sizes smaller. You could I probably could have gone down another needle size from what's listed in the pattern for the cast on, but I prefer to, I liked what this one provided for me. So anyway, very stretchy, very pretty. The other thing about the needles is, yes, I am using double pointed needles, not a circular needle, and that is on purpose. This cast on, it can easily twist, and the double pointed needles keep the stitches in tension or under tension, preventing some of that twisting that can happen as it slides to the cable on the circular needles. So you can start off with your double pointed needles and either use a third double pointed for your first row or round, or you can go to a smaller circular needle, and then the second round adjust up to your project needle size. Either one works. Today's demonstration, I'm not going to do a full round. I'm only going to do the first couple of stitches. So I'm going to just use another double pointed needle because that's what I have that's in the same size. All right, so we are going to start by picking up one needle and making a slip knot. Oops, I split the yarn there. Don't want to do that. All right. Grab your tails with your right hand, snug that up. These are not stitches. This is not your first stitches. Now, so I have my 2 yarns, my knit yarn on my right, my purl yarn on my left, and that's to make the double knitted brioche go smoother. Reversing them, they don't work quite as well. All right, so get your tails out of your way, hold them with your right hand. Now your knit yarn, make sure they're not tangled here. Your knit yarn is going to go over your index finger. Your purl yarn is going to go over your thumb. And then you're going to clasp the rest of the yarns. Now I tend to use just the last 2 fingers, but all 3 fingers, because you want a good tension on those, okay? All right, the yarns you're using are just the yarns currently attached to your needle. You will never be pulling from these yarns here. You know, you're not going to be picking up the tail yarns. You're only going to use these 2. So make sure there's a good tension between your finger, your thumb, and the needle. Okay, so to start your cast on, you're going to do a knit stitch. To do the knit stitch, you're going to come down on the outside, up through the middle, down on the back side, and all the way through to the front. Okay. To do your purl stitch, you're going to repeat that last step all the way around to the front and down through the middle and then up from the back. As you see, what that does is that captures the yarn that's over the needle with the opposite yarn underneath. Okay, so now I have 2 stitches or 1 pair. Again, 1 down on the front side, 2 up through the middle, 3 down to the back side, 4 all the way around to the front and up, 5 down to the back, all the way around to the front and up, 6 down through the middle, 7 up to the back. And your 7 steps are complete. You now have 2 more stitches. Outside, middle, back side, front side. Back side, front side, middle, back side. All of these can help you figure this out and make sure that you're doing your stitches in the right order. They should always go in the same color pattern. They should always be your knit yarn, then your purl yarn. Knit, purl. Outside, middle, back side, front side. Back side, front side, middle, back side. Front side, middle, back side, front side. Back side, front side, middle, back side. So again, down at the front side, up through the middle, down to the back side, and all the way up to the front side. Down the back side, all the way up to the front side, down through the middle, and up to the back side. And if you feel like you need to make those stitches fairly snug, give it a little tug before you move on. All right, how many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pair, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna slide those down so that they've got no chance of coming off. Obviously, if I were doing more stitches, you'd wanna make sure that you only did enough on one needle to not slide off the needle. But at the same time, if you can get half your stitches on one needle and half on the other, you're doing really good. Now you'll notice I'm pinching. I'm keeping tension on those 2 stitches. And I'm going to pick up my second needle. I'm going to place it right over the top of where those stitches come together. And then I'm going to make sure I snug a little bit. I'm going to go down the outside, up through the middle, down the back side, all the way to the front side, and snug it good. All the way to the back side, up the front side, down through the middle, up through the back side, and I'm pinching with these 2 fingers so that I can adjust my yarns, and I'm snugging really good. Now once I've got those first 2 stitches, I can kind of let go of that other needle. I like to kind of keep it there for at least 4. Down, up, down and around, down and around, down and up. Whatever little saying that you need to keep you on track. All right, so now I'm gonna kind of let that drop. I'm gonna adjust my yarns again. Outside, middle, back side and around to the front, snug. Back side, front side, down through the middle and back up at the back side. Outside, middle, back side, outside. I call it outside or front side. It's really the front side. Okay. Back side to front side, down through the middle to the back side. And a couple more. As you can see, you get into a real rhythm and it's quite easy. All right. How many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, I'm gonna twist just a little bit, not completely, but I'm gonna just kind of twist my hand so that those yarns catch. And then I'm going to pinch with the thumb and index finger of my right hand so that I can let go of those yarns. Kind of move them out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to take the first needle and I'm going to turn it so that all of those stitches are in the middle, and I just kind of dropped things so they're not twisted anymore. Okay. So now I'm going to slide those stitches all the way to the far end. You can see that that blue stitch is coming loose because I've lost that twist. So I'm just going to put that twist back in. Grab that knit yarn. Make sure that twist is facing the other needle. Okay. If you need to, just kind of pull it underneath and snug that back down. All right. At this point, what you want to do is you want to find that row of ridges or knots that were created as you wrap the yarns around each other on both needles. That's in the way. And make sure they're facing each other. Okay. I'm going to snug that up when I do that first stitch, but that's okay. I still have my slip knot here. And remember, I said that's not a stitch. At this point, we're going to slide those stitches forward. And yes, this is fiddly. Takes a moment, but once you get it done, you only have to do it once. Drop that underneath. I kind of pinch it out of the way with that middle finger. And notice I've got this yarn tensioned. Right, that's going to be the first yarn I work with, and I'm going to work with one yarn at a time for the first couple of stitches. I am going to knit the first stitch. Since I've got it caught there, I'm just going to do it continental. You can do it any way you want. Then I'm going to drop the yarn, slide that off, bring that purl yarn and the knit yarn between the two needles, grab my purl yarn and purl the first stitch. Now I've started my circle, okay? However you want to do those next stitches, whichever, method you want to do, the big key for the double knit stitches, make sure both yarns are at the back and then both yarns are at the front. We'll talk more about the double knitted brioche. We'll talk more about the transition between the two in the next video.